Yo, what's up people? This is Anthony with themovieblock.com and I'm back here with another video. This one's going to be an explanation on the character known as Miles Morales. So, Miles is my favorite Marvel creation in recent years and has grown quite popular. First, let's chat about the character's origins and why he was created. So, Miles was created by writer Brian Michael Bendis and artist Sara Pichelli out of a title called Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man was a reimagining of the Peter Parker Spider-Man mythos in which they made an effort to modernize the story so that it took place during contemporary times, or what was contemporary times back in 2001. So rather than glasses and sweater vests, we got a Peter Parker that wore contacts and had a cell phone. This title was wildly popular. I mean, I don't want to undersell this. This book sold insanely well to the point that it started outselling the main Amazing Spider-Man book. I want to say that for a while that Ultimate Spider-Man outsold everything, but I'd have to double check that. This started what would essentially become Marvel's Ultimate Universe, where we got to see new and re-envisioned versions of classic characters like the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers. It's where we got Nick Fury as Sam Jackson, or Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, depending on how you want to look at it. Something of note is that writer and creator Brian Michael Bendis stated that one of the motivations for changing course with Spider-Man was to create a character that his daughter and other people of color could relate and look up to. This led to Brian doing something unexpected by killing off his title character of Peter Parker and introducing a new protagonist in Miles Morales. Miles is half black and half Puerto Rican and lives in Brooklyn. Now, writer Brian Michael Bendis avoids recreating the circumstances of Peter Parker with Miles here. Miles is still a young person, but it's under his parents. His mom and dad, Rios and Jefferson, they're like run-of-the-mill parents with typical concerns of raising a kid in New York City. You know, they want Miles to go to the best school. They want him to have good friends. They want him to show initiative in his projects. They want the best for their son. Also, Miles doesn't have an Uncle Ben, but he does have an Uncle Aaron. And let me tell you this, yo, Uncle Aaron is like the coolest uncle ever. I wish I had me an Uncle Aaron. He's like that uncle your parents tell you to stay away from because he's shady, but those kind of uncles have the coolest stories. Like, those are the ones that you want to just like sit down and listen to what they got to say. Anyway, we learned that Uncle Aaron isn't into just run-of-the-mill typical shady dealings like the Donald Glover version that we saw in Spider-Man Homecoming. He's actually a bit more next level in the Ultimate Universe in that he's an accomplished cat burglar going by the name of the Prowler. And this guy wasn't just some low-level cat burglar. He wasn't just breaking into people's safes or vaults or, you know, just trying to get the code or the jewels. We actually got to see this guy breaking into medical facilities and science labs. A genetically modified spider, I guess, I don't know how it got out, snuck into his bag. So one day Miles decides to not listen to his parents like he normally does and just go hang out with his Uncle Aaron. And it just so happens to be like right after Uncle Aaron got back from breaking into Oscorp. So when Miles is over there, the spider finds its way out of the bag and bites Miles on the hand. After some time, Miles develops spider powers, just like Peter did, in that he has the proportionate speed, agility, and strength of a spider, along with the spider sense. Now, one thing of note is that the genetically altered spider from the Oscorp building wasn't exactly like the one that bit Peter, in that this one granted Miles a couple of other cool abilities unique to Miles, including the ability to turn himself invisible, and then an offensive move that he refers to as his Venom Sting. It's like his one-touch knockout. He's like One Punch Man with this thing. Like, he just walks up to you, touches you, and it's lights out. The fight is over. And I love seeing him whip this move out. Like, when you see him do it, you know it's a wrap. Now, Miles was pretty young when all of this happened to him. You know, him getting bit by the genetic spider. I think he was like a freshman in high school, or he was still trying to enter high school. I don't even think he was in high school. So he was like 12 or 13 years old when the spider bit him. And he was just a kid going through the normal struggles young people have at that age of self-identity. You know, who am I? What kind of person am I going to be? You know, he was trying to adapt to his charter school. He's trying to carve out a sense of belonging. I don't know what high school was like for you guys, but I remember I hated my freshman year. It was awkward learning all this new stuff, feeling judged everywhere you go. It's just so intimidating. So Miles was going through that and understanding his new abilities at the same time. Also, keep in mind that Peter Parker was still alive during this time. Like, when Miles got bit by the spider and got spider powers, Peter Parker was alive and well, and he was still fighting a good fight as Spider-Man. So just because Miles got powers, he didn't initially feel motivated to use this to help fight crime. Instead, he focused on himself and his schoolings and trying to figure out this thing called life. Now, there is a tragic death that affects Miles and inspires him to fight crime as Spider-Man. That was actually the death of Peter Parker himself. When Peter Parker died in the Ultimate Universe, it shook the Ultimate Universe to its core. Like, Spider-Man was the face of the Ultimate Universe. He was the first character that started it, and he knew everyone. Like, everyone either knew Spider-Man or knew of him. So his death was a real big thing in the comics. I mean, comic deaths don't mean nearly as much as they used to since the death of Superman. Characters tend to die and get resurrected quite often in comics, but things are different in the Ultimate Universe. Characters who die here stay dead, and Miles is profoundly touched by the sacrifices made by Peter in his role as Spider-Man. Peter ultimately died while protecting his loved ones from a savage attack by the Green Goblin and the Sinister Six. After they learn his identity, they just go to his house and just try to wreak havoc. They try to attack Aunt May. I feel sorry for anybody who tried to attack Aunt May. You know, like, Spider-Man, that's the one line you don't cross. Don't touch Aunt May. We learned Miles, for the first time, felt motivated to use his powers when the news was reporting this. Like, the Sinister Six is trying to attack this old lady and Spider-Man's out here getting killed. Miles tried to make his way to the battle scene to help him in his fight, but by the time Miles arrived, it was already too late and Peter had died. But that still wasn't enough, because Miles still had apprehension. He actually saw a spider person die in front of him. That doesn't really just motivate him to, like, run out and get a costume and say, I'm next. He still has apprehension, and it takes more soul searching and a chance meeting with the Ultimate Universe's Gwen Stacy at the funeral for Peter Parker to finally cement his decision. Miles asks Gwen why Peter chose to be Spider-Man, and she had an answer. Albeit I'm not going to say it was the perfect answer, but it was the truthful answer. She tells him because his uncle, the guy who raised him, died. Peter learned his uncle died because Peter didn't use his powers to help people, and he learned a valuable lesson. With great power comes great responsibility. And that's it. That's what cements this in Miles' head, and he hears everything he needs to hear. So Miles initially sets out to honor the legacy of the fallen Spider-Man by putting on a costume shop replica of Peter's outfit. He sets out in fighting crime and quickly captures the attention of everyone. I mean, S.H.I.E.L.D., the Ultimates, the public. Everyone is hearing about this new Spider-Man, and everyone has an opinion. What was kind of a joke in the comic book is that people would randomly remark to Miles that it's too soon, man, or his costume choices in bad taste, mainly because the people in the Ultimate Universe really feel it when a hero dies. Similar to the mainline Marvel Universe, Spider-Man was an everyman hero that people either loved or hated. There was an event called Ultimatum in which Magneto, the X-Men villain, completely decimated Manhattan and drowned most of Manhattan with a tsunami and killed a bunch of people. Peter Parker was right in the thick of rescue efforts for New Yorkers, casting a new light on the hero and helping public perception of his actions. So Peter actually built up a lot of good faith and goodwill with the people of New York. And I'm not saying that New Yorkers didn't, they outright rejected Miles for taking on the role, but they were critical of his debut. That changed when Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. got involved. Fury approached Miles to determine his intentions in the role, and Fury acted sort of as a mentor to Peter at sometimes. Fury feels guilty because Peter's dead, and he wants to do for Miles what he failed to do for Peter, and offers to guide him properly into his role, and offers Miles a new costume, some web shooters, and his blessing to go on and go forward as this universe's new Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, Miles goes on to have all sorts of adventures. He battles some of Peter's rogues, he makes some of his own, he joins the team, he doesn't actually outright join the Ultimates, he makes his own Ultimates team, but there's a lot of cool stuff that happens with Miles from that point forward. Anyway, that's where Miles Morales came from. He came from another universe. This was a quick video just giving us an overview of where he's from, what he's about, and what makes him different and what makes him cool. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up. I need that. Hit that thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, do me a favor and subscribe. Thanks for hanging on. Thanks for checking out this video. I'm gonna hit you guys later. One.